October the 7th, 2023, are seared in our minds. Around 1,200 dead, 251 hostages taken, 48 of those still in Gaza. Women raped, children murdered, lives destroyed. That was the most devastating attack on Jewish life since the Holocaust. Hamas's barbaric attack was not just an attack on Israel. The impact has reverberated around the world for the last 2 years. When you look back today, I cannot think of a single group of people around the world whose lives are better off due to that barbaric attack, except those who are enemies of peace, enemies of social cohesion, enemies of the values that our country holds most dear and must protect. Today, we remember the attack and we commemorate the lives of all of those who were lost on that day and those people whose lives are daily affected. We think of the families in particular who are left behind. The family of Galit Carbone, a Sydney-born grandmother. We think of the family of people like Eli Sharabi, a hostage who was finally freed, to find that so many of his family did not survive that day, and who came to the Parliament recently to share his story. The Bibas family, whose beautiful children and mother were murdered on that day. The people like Remo, Mazal and Millet, who came to Australia and told of their terrifying experiences at the Nova Musical Festival, the friends that they helped and the friends that they lost on that day. Today is the day to recognise and commemorate the lives that were destroyed on that day. Many of those are Israeli and many of those are Palestinian. Lives have been destroyed across the world because of a war that followed Hamas's actions that day. We can acknowledge all the pain across humanity that started with those atrocities that day. We are all the children of humanity, and all of our children are innocent. And Jewish Australians in particular have been affected by that day, both because of their personal connections to Israel, on their friends and families in Israel who were directly affected, those who lost and those who were devastated by losses. But of enormous, I think, pain for the Jewish community, and particularly the community I represent, has been the devastating rise of anti-Semitism here in Australia. Now, there have been Jews in Australia since the First Fleet, and the Jewish community has made an outstanding contribution to this country in all fields, from military to law to the arts to community, in so many different ways. But I have spoken to so many Jewish people whose families who have been here for generations, who are now not sure if they are welcome here, if their children or their grandchildren are safe here. And that is a terrible thing to be contemplating in this country. Speaking to a 15-year-old who was walking down the street and wearing a blazer from a Jewish school, where a car slowed down to do a Hail Hitler at him and swear effing Jews. Of a friend of mine who asked another person just to move his car and was told, F the South African Jews again, just because he asked someone in a South African accent. A man who was telling me, a rabbi, who was saying he was holding the hand of his 8-year-old daughter, waiting at the lights, and again the car slowing down to swear at them as Jews. This 8-year-old girl, what responsibility does she bear for anything? Absolutely nothing. She is welcome in this country, as are all Jewish Australians and all people of all faiths in this country. The armed guards in front of the schools in my electorate, they are an affront to our Australian humanity. The food that has been thrown, the fire bombs on the street of cars, the street that I actually grew up in, it doesn't belong here in Australia. No attacks of any religion belong here in Australia, and the Jewish community has been absolutely devastated in the last 2 years in particular. So the question really is, now what? Where do we go from here? I think the first thing that I pray for, and I know so many, is firstly peace. Because of the devastation of the war overseas. There are negotiations afoot between Israel and Hamas. I pray that those are successful, that we find peace, that the ceasefire happens, that the hostages are released, and that aid is reached, and that we rebuild a Palestinian and an Israeli state. But it is also up to us to protect what we have in this country here. We are the most successful multicultural country in the world, and it is up to every single one of us every day to protect that, to make sure it is a safe and welcoming place for all faiths and all cultures.
Has expired.
Thank you.